Hello there, I'm Scotty. You are not. From 3 years to 3 years. Yeah, this is another one that was 3 years ago. Yeah, Lost. Season 6. I did season 5 3 years ago and was planning to keep watching the reactions with Blind Wave. And then when that was done, I would talk about this. And then I just didn't do it. That lasted about a year, and then 2 years more. I'm here now. So, season 6 of Lost was one. So, at the end of season 5, you had that explosion, right? They decided we're going to stop our plane from crashing on the silence. We're going to cause an explosion here that's going to blow up the island and stop that from ever happening. However, as you probably figured out watching the damn thing, they always said there was an incident that happened in the 70s that caused them to build the hatch. This was the incident. It was always supposed to happen like this. That was the incident. They were always supposed to end up back in the 70s, and that was always supposed to happen that way. Wibbly wobbly, sure, but yeah. However, as the season began, so when that ended and the screen went white, it said, Lost popped up. And then we were treated to a thing during the credit thing that ABC did saying, and the final season. Oh, the final season. Thanks, show I just got into this season. Yeah, season 5 was my first season. I watched the catch-up thing, and then I bought the previous seasons. Let me tell you, it wasn't like, how are you gonna watch Lost coming in at season 5? It wasn't easy. I bought season 4, still wasn't fully in, and then eventually bought the other 3 seasons and watched through them. Like, okay, I understand this now. So much that when I talked to my friend Tim about Circus Rock, he's like, I don't remember that. I don't know, I don't remember that. I didn't remember that. So it's like, yeah, as I'm going through Lost, I'm like, maybe you should watch it. He's like, nah, I'm good. Anyway, so yeah, off of that, let's start with the flashbacks for this season. The Flash sideways. So we had flashbacks in the first 3 seasons. At the end of season 3, we got tricked, and we found out it was the flash forward, and the flash forwards were in season 4 and 5. So now we got flash sideways, which is we keep in line with what's going on the island now, and an alternate universe where the plane never crashed. Although, as you might notice going through here, some things are different. There's some people that aren't on the plane, like, say, Shannon, I believe, was not on the plane, but her brother was. I want to call him Damon so bad because Vampire Diaries, but Boone. Boone is on the plane, Shannon is not. And also, you don't see Michael or Walt for obvious reasons. I'm pretty sure, Walt is too old, and they can't bring the actor back, and he grew up. That's what having kids on a TV show is difficult, especially when it's supposed to only be months. Excuse me, months. But the kid's growing in years. That's why I had to write him out at the end of season 2. He was growing up too fast. Excuse me. Yeah. Clear the throat out. Scusa. Anyway. And one particular person is on the plane, that being Desmond. Now, with the island being destroyed in this universe, Desmond wouldn't have... He still would have went on his boating trip, I think, but he wouldn't have found the island on it. He'd just be boating around, I think. So, other things in this world is also different. Like, Sawyer is a cop, not a con man. And by his side is Miles, which echoes their time in the 70s on the island when he was a security officer and his right-hand man. Charlie is not clean. He's still a drug addict, and way worse than he was at the beginning of season 1, so something else must have happened in that universe. I don't know. Hurley is rich, still, but you're not unlucky this time. He's just rich. Jack has a son with Juliet. They're divorced, and they're both doctors in the same hospital. Kate is still on the run, and Claire is still pregnant. Locke and Ben are both teachers at the same school, where Alex is one of the students. Also, Arts, our friend Arts, is also a teacher there. Yeah, I don't know. Bring about all the characters they can, I guess. But they weren't all from the same place, right? Were they most of them from L.A.? Right? Claire was from Australia. She was going to L.A. for that psychic, right? They're, I don't know. Wasn't Juliet not from California? L.A.? I don't know. And his dad's body is missing, we find out, because Christian Shepherd likes to disappear. It also connects to the finale. My eye is watering, I'm sorry. But, yeah. Saeed is in a world where his brother married Nadia for some reason, but he still sort of loves her. I don't know if he's still an assassin or something. I don't remember. It's been a while. I'm trying to remember as much as I can. We don't know about Michael and Walt because Walt's too old. The actor's too old. Boone does have a little conversation with Jack on the plane. I think it's Jack on the plane, where he talks about the situation. He came there to get his sister. His sister threw him out, something like that. So that's why Shannon's on the plane. Also, they couldn't get the actress to come back at that point either, but you know. So a lot of things have changed. That's a word. A lot of things have changed in this alternate reality, and you're wondering, that's a lot of changes. Yes, it is, and we're not done yet. But we'll get to those. On the island, we wake up back in modern time, because if you remember, half of the team were on in the 70s, the other half were on the island with the Ajira flight members. So, yeah. The Man in Black, you gotta remember, it's not John Locke. It's the Man in Black has tricked Ben into killing Jacob. So Jacob, as a ghost, with his powers quickly leaving him, contacts them and tells them they need to appoint a new guardian of the island, and quick. He brought them all there to find a new one, but now, with his life force fading from existence, they needed to appoint a new one, and of course, it's Jack. Of course it is. So, yeah. Claire also returns, but she's cuckoo nuts and with Locke, because her father, i.e. the Man in Black in disguise, is Christian Shepherd. He tricked her, and now she thinks it's her father. She's cuckoo nuts, and she's gone crazy. Yeah. Saeed was bleeding to death after being shot in the ending moments of season 5. So he is taken to the temple, and they do this thing when they dunk him in this water, and they find out that he's not coming back as his normal self, and he ends up joining Locke until he doesn't. And after what seems like forever, Sun and Jin, if I can say the names right, Sun and Jin finally reunite, only to both die. That poor couple. Yeah, see what happens is they reunite, and they finally are going to get off the island thanks to Charles Widmore, who has also come to the island. And they're on the submarine when Locke blows it up. It is Widmore's submarine, not the submarine the others had, because Locke also blew it up. By the way, it's the Man in Black, not Locke. I keep confusing it. The Man in Locke sounds nasty. The Man in Black blows up the submarine, but Saeed has to have some of him still in there, because he takes the bomb and tries to get it out of there as fast as he can as they're going up to the surface, But it blows up, killing Saeed right away and causing the thing to flood. I believe Sun is stuck and Jin refuses to leave her behind, so they both drown to death. So sad. Yeah, so Juliet's dead, Sun and Jin are dead, Saeed is dead. Yeah. Eventually, Ben ends up on the side with the Man in Black. I think he's still walking around with him. But the Man in Black has a plan. He's going to... that includes Desmond, who is back on the island because Charles Widmore brought him back there. Sure. And so he leaves Desmond in a well, but he gets out thanks to Rose and Bernard, who, if you remember, were living on the island, and now they just sort of, it's all gone to hell. The Man in Black shows up and takes Desmond. And so now the plan is that there is this area. So, to talk about that, we have to talk about the flashback episode Beyond the Sea. Yes, or Across the Sea, whatever it's called. It is the backstory for Jacob and the Man in Black. By the way, the Man in Black's name is never known other than Man in Black. That's it. Although, if we're going biblical like Jacob, I would call him Joshua. Jacob, Joshua, they're from the Bible. You know, I don't know. But we find out that a pregnant woman landed on the island and was, after she gave birth, the crazy woman that helped her give birth killed her and took her children. Now, it is never really explained how, like, there's a whole thing that women couldn't give birth on the island, but she gives birth fine here. So when did that start? Was it after the electromagnetic thing? And I don't know. I don't know. That's never answered. Why they? That's never answered. One of the questions never answered. Why couldn't women give birth on the island? Claire was able to. There's something the others did, apparently. I don't know. But, so, lost my train of thought. So in this episode, Allison Janney plays the crazy woman. She's great, by the way. And she raised these two, but the Man in Black finds out there's a settlement of people, his people, their people, and that's when he goes nuts. He and Jacob get into, he kills his mother, and then he and Jacob get into it. Jacob is the one who kills him and throws him into this area where they have to guard this light. He throws him into there, and he comes out as the Black Smoke. That's how he becomes the Smoke Monster. Again, never explained how that works. It just happens, I guess, because you threw a dead body in there. I don't know. Don't know. Because Jack technically dies in there, and he just teleports back up to the top of the island. So, maybe for to turn the smoke, you have to turn the dead body in there. Who knows? But it does make sense that it's Jack and Locke. If it was the real Locke converted, if like, say they changed it around, right? Say they changed it around and Locke's body was thrown down there. Like they convinced, and Locke's body was thrown down there. He was turned to the Smoke Monster. So it's Locke and Jack. I don't know how that would work. I guess it works better if he just looks like Locke. I guess. But, yeah. And we also get Richard's backstory too. He was on the ship that they find, the Black Rock. And yeah, he was a slave on the Black Rock, and Jacob found him and gave him eternal life. Simple, sure. And then I think he had a girlfriend or a love interest that died, and then he became, I guess, I don't know. But yeah. And so Jacob became guardian because his mother gave him the powers. Now you're like me, and then he gives that to Jack. That meant that backstory wasn't in season 5. It was here, right? Because at the end of it was the season finale of season 5 where they introduced these two characters and Jacob. Yeah. So, yeah. Man in Black kills people, several people, including these new characters that were supposed to know, and he just get killed. It's also never really explained why the Man in Black couldn't kill Jacob. He just can't. Don't know how it works. Because Jacob killed him, he can't kill... I don't know. It's confusing. I really don't know. Meanwhile, in Otherworld land, paths cross, like such as Kate being in the same cab as Claire when they go to see the psychic, but the psychic's not there because it never really existed. Still doesn't exist in this world, apparently. And then, curiously, Charlie has a run-in with Desmond, in which Charlie ends up in a car that crashes into the water. He then has flashes of his former life, but he doesn't get his memory back yet, but he gets flashes. But, you know. It's also shown that Hurley also seems to know what's going on, as does Desmond, who knows what's going on. This is why he was on the plane. Maybe he was to make sure that it landed right. And throughout the season, in this Flash Sideways universe, people start to get their memories back. We find out that in this alternate universe, Sun is pregnant, and it is the baby's ultrasound that gets them to regain their memories. And it's funny, because before this, as you know, Jin couldn't speak a lick of English. And Juliet is having a hard time communicating to them. Sun can speak English, but Jin doesn't know that, remember? Not at this point. So, then all of a sudden, when she's talking to them, Jin speaks perfect English, and it's like, you can't speak English, you know? Yeah, but it's the ultrasound that gets them to remember what happened. And then Sawyer comes walking in. It's like, hey, what's going on? They just kind of smile at him. Because they know they can't say anything. Just kind of smile at him and like, we'll see you later. He's like, what? The hell you mean? That's a perfect story. What the hell you mean? The hell you talking about? There's also a moment where Locke gets his memory back. Jack, hasn't learned all his lessons. So at this point, he still thinks he can save everyone. So he's convinced Locke that he could get his walking abilities back. He can do the surgery, they can do it. And so he does it. And then all of a sudden, Locke can move his toes. And it's those moments that gives Locke his memories back. And Locke realizes Jack doesn't remember him. But what memory do you think it is that gives Kate her memory? Is it giving birth to Aaron? Helping give birth to Aaron? They go to this concert, which is put on by Charles Widmore and Daniel's mom, Eleanor. I don't know if they're still married in this universe, but they acknowledge that Daniel is their son. So Penny knows she has a brother in this universe. And he's still kind of brain damaged because he never went to the island. But he's like an idiot savant. So he can play the piano. He's playing a concert with Driveshaft, or it's just Charlie, who again is heavily drugged. You want everybody. You want everybody. Which is the only song they ever did, really. But when he goes to the back, we find out that Claire goes into labor and she delivers backstage. Charlie goes to give her a blanket, and it's during this that Claire and Kate and Charlie get their memories back. It's a beautiful moment. I'm about to tear up because it's a beautiful moment. It really is. Also, I think it's Hurley takes Saeed to somewhere where someone is getting beat up, and there's a woman there screaming, and it turns out the woman is Shannon, and it is her boyfriend, her abusive boyfriend. This time, it's not a ruse to get money from Boone. He's actually sort of abusive, and Boone is also there. He was the one getting beat up. Sorry. You know how hard it took to get her to come here? And so they reconvene. They get their memories back. But what is going on? No time for that. We got to go to a vending machine. What? That's my thing. So, vending machine. Sawyer's trying to get the machine to work, but it won't. And Juliet walks up and says, "Hey, you have to do this." And they touch hands and they see something, and they do the thing. It goes in, and it's the candy bar that they always have. And then they touch and they get memories back. They say a few lines and they remember each other. All right. So the only person by this point who doesn't have his memories back is Jack. Meanwhile, on the island, yes, we're going back to the island now. Locke's plan is to shut down the island, basically. He has Desmond lured down into this area. Jack also goes with him because he has an idea of what will happen. So so the Man in Black is immortal, basically. But when they shut down the island, he becomes mortal. Technically, so does Jack, but he passes on the power to Hurley before this, and then after this, actually. He has a showdown with Locke on the cliffs, and then with help from Kate. Kate shoots him, and he kicks him off the thing to his death. The others say they have to get to a plane, which the Lapidus can fly because he is there, and so Jack says he's got to stay, he's got to go back, he's got to fix the island. Hurley says he's staying with Jack because he's not climbing down that rickety little ladder. I don't blame him. I wouldn't either. That's too damn high. So they go back to where it is. He makes Hurley like him, which doesn't make sense because all the powers are turned off now, but they do it. Sure, fine. And he goes down and he puts the thing back. They said Desmond was the only one that would survive it because he has that special thing from the Constant. He's always, so Desmond is brought back up. The thing goes, and Jack ends up back up on top. Meanwhile, the others get on the plane and they fly. Kate convinces Claire to come back with them. She has them at gunpoint. She convinces Claire to come back with them because Aaron is still alive. And so, although Aaron's going to think Kate is her mom, so that's going to cause issues, but, come back. It's, where you got to go. And so everyone gets on the plane. It is Lapidus, Miles, what's his name? Richard Alpert, who is now aging because the magic was turned off. I think it happened when Jacob died. He's aging. So when Jacob died, he's now aging. But it started happening, and now he's gonna age. So Kate, Sawyer, and Claire. Everyone else died or stayed behind. Ben also stayed behind because the island is his home. He wasn't actually born there, like you said in early seasons, but it's his home. He doesn't want to leave. And so he becomes Hurley's second in command. Yeah, Ben is technically a good guy now. I don't know. And so they set out to have other adventures, I guess. I don't know. We don't see him. But the final shot coincides with the final shot of the other world. So let's jump back to the other world. They're all destined to meet at this church. What is this church? We don't know yet. But it leads to one of the biggest confusions that Lost fans have ever made. And we'll get to it. So he walks in. This is where his father's body is. He goes in. He opens the thing. He's still not there. But he's right behind you, Jack. yes, Christian talks to him. And this is where Jack starts to remember what happened. It goes back and back to back with Jack walking. He's sort of dying, and he's dying because of what happened, and he's walking throughout the season. Jack in the Flash sideways has been getting this red cut on his chin, and that happened in the fight with Locke. So whatever happened on the island already happened here. Or did it, brother? Maybe not, brother. But anyway, we find out that everyone created this reality for them to meet once they died. Because apparently their time on the island was the best times of their lives, which I call bullshit, but sure. Everyone is there except for Michael, Walt, Ana Lucia. Libby is there with Hurley because Hurley was the one in charge of doing this, so of course he brought Libby back. Everyone is there except for the guest stars they couldn't get. Michael and Walt, I understand. We'll talk about Walt in a minute, but Michael, I understand. Walt, I understand because the actor would be too old, but Michael, he was not done well by the island. Not many of them were, but everyone is there that could get there. Even Rose and Bernard are there. Baby Aaron is there, everyone. Daniel did not go. Charlotte did not go. Miles is not there either. Only the main cast from the first 3 seasons, apparently. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The ones that meant. Except for whatever the 2 names were. Nikki and Paolo. They're not there. They didn't even get any mention at all. Eeks. So there's a big ball of light flashes as Christian opens the door and then goes white over to the real world, we'll call it. Jack collapses in a field of trees as the dog, Vincent the dog, runs up and lays down next to him. Close up of the eye and then close. Lost. It ends as it started, with Jack's eye, only it's closing now instead of opening. That's done great. Now, the big confusion with this ending. People saw this ending and immediately assumed they were dead the whole time. They died in a plane crash. They were dead the whole time. No, you idiots. That's not what it means. It means that this place was made when everyone died eventually. Once everyone that was important there died, they would come together and go off into the afterlife together. It's a limbo for all of them that were connected. Right? Limbo for everyone. Right? Now, we don't know what happened to those who got off the island, but they do eventually die. They didn't all die at the same time. They didn't die in a plane crash. It's for when they eventually died, whenever that point in life is. They all came together. It was orchestrated by Hurley, who was the guardian of the island. So I'm assuming he was the last to die. Who was his successor? Not Ben. Ben doesn't go into the church either. He stays behind. Probably because Alex is there. But it's a... And despite the fact that we saw Locke's feet moving, toes moving, he's still in a wheelchair when he gets there. I don't know. Realism, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, no, they didn't all die in a plane crash. They haven't been dead the entire time. They all died at different times and met up in the afterlife and met up in this limbo and went off into the afterlife. All right? That's what it is. Now, for those of who are wondering what happened to Walt, well, there's a special feature on the Season 6 DVD in which it is explained that he becomes the guardian of the island when Hurley's ready to go. So he and Ben show up, they get him out of the mental hospital. He's in the same mental hospital that Hurley was in. They get him out of there and they take him back to the island and they make him the new guardian. Apparently that's what's supposed to happen. So that Hurley can then retire and go eventually die and And he does, you see that over the years, Ben has changed because, like, you were a great number 2, dude. Ben was always number 2. But anyway, yeah, got this itch. Sorry. Feels good. Feels good. But yeah, I think it's a decent ending. I'd say it was good. When you have a show like Lost, you can't just do a normal ending. Like, oh, they get off the island and Jack and Kate are going to get married. Nah, that'd be too simple. No, you had to do something big. It was always going to come down to Jack and Locke. It just, I don't know if it makes more sense that it wasn't actually Locke. Also, Jack says that Locke was a lot of things. That Locke was right. He just didn't live long enough to find out. Locke was a lot of things, but right wasn't one of them. He knew there was a bigger world out there, and Jack wanted to be more simple. Maybe that's what he meant, but I don't know. But yeah. I think it's a decent ending. Like I said, with the show like Lost, you're not going to have a normal ending where everything goes. I will say, I do think Kate and Sawyer ended up getting together. Because with Jack gone, Juliet gone, maybe not right away, but eventually they made right, to it. Oh, that's the one thing. Sawyer. How is he staying in L.A.? He has a daughter, right? Clementine? Maybe not in that universe, but Clementine. You think Aaron and Clementine met each other? They did. That's right, they did, because they were meeting up with each other. That's right, they did. Never mind. But yeah, I think it's a decent ending, like I said. It's not great, it's not grand. It's a confusing ending because a lot of people just see that, and they go, oh, they were dead the whole time. No, that's not what it is. Not at all. But I think it's well done. It's well done. It's confusing, but I think it's well done. It's an idea that I think in execution didn't work the way they thought it was going to, but it works fine. So, what are your thoughts on the final season of Lost? Don't hit you. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.